There is a moment each morning, a fragile golden thread of time, when the world holds its breath. Before the phone screens awaken, before the noise of obligation finds its way into your bones, before your memory rushes back in to tell you who you are and what you must become, there exists a stillness. And hidden in that stillness is a door. A door not made of wood or steel, but of frequency, awareness, and sacred will. If you step through it consciously, you are no longer just waking up. You are re-entering the cosmic current of your truest self. And there is one thing, just one deliberate act, that can turn that fragile morning breath into a portal of power. In this video, we're going to explore what that one thing is, not just on the surface, but in its deepest layers. Because this isn't just a life hack, it's a soul code, a key left behind in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to see it, the right heart to feel it. So stay with me until the end of this video, because what we uncover could recalibrate not only your morning, but your entire vibration. And if you haven't already, take a second to subscribe. This channel isn't just for information, it's a sanctuary for transformation. Now, back to that door. Raising your vibration isn't some new age catchphrase thrown around like glitter on a vision board. It is the architecture of becoming. Your vibration is the signal you emit to the universe, a silent language of frequency that dictates what you attract, how you feel, and what realities magnetize toward you. And though it may feel like the world spins you into motion each day without your consent, the truth is far more beautiful and far more dangerous. You are not waking into the world. The world is waking into you. This is why the first few minutes of your morning are sacred ground. They are not empty. They are pregnant with potential. Most people miss it. They roll over and check a device, plug into the matrix before their soul has even fully returned from sleep. They hand their energetic steering wheel to habit, to urgency, to memory. And yet, in the silence before identity fully returns, your spirit is still fluid, still malleable. You are still between worlds. That is where this one thing becomes a miracle in motion. The ancients knew it. The mystics practiced it. But it doesn't require a robe or incense or chanting in Sanskrit, unless that's your path. What it requires is a choice, a conscious ignition of energy, intention, and alignment. You do this not by adding to yourself, but by remembering what you already are before the world tells you what you should be. That one act, performed with sincerity and presence each morning, can instantly shift you out of the gravitational pull of anxiety, distraction, and disconnection. It is like tuning a cosmic radio. You can either catch static all day, or with a simple turn of the dial, receive the music of higher consciousness. And the beauty of this act is that it's not hidden behind a paywall, a ritual, or a guru. It's as near as your breath, as intimate as your first thought, as powerful as your first decision. Yet because it is so simple, most ignore it. The human mind craves complexity, noise, drama. But your soul, it craves resonance. And resonance is not loud. It is subtle, steady, transformative. It's the difference between a hurricane and the rising sun. One causes chaos, the other calls life into being. And so the one thing is not a technique. It's a remembering, a returning, a sacred interruption of the autopilot script you inherited from a world addicted to survival. It is a declaration. Today, I do not wake into fear, I wake into truth. And if you do this one thing truly, if you practice it like a vow, not a trick, you will begin to notice the world bending. Your mood no longer crashes with the headlines. Your intuition sharpens. People feel different around you. Synchronicities increase. You begin to walk with the quiet confidence of someone plugged into source. You become a living frequency upgrade, a transmitter of light in a world obsessed with noise. But before we reveal exactly what that one thing is and why it works so profoundly, we must first understand the architecture behind it, the energetic scaffolding that holds our reality in place, and the illusions that keep us vibrating below our true level. Because without understanding the blueprint, we can't truly wield the key. So in the next section, we will travel deeper into the core themes and cosmic principles that make this morning act not just beneficial, but sacred. We will pull back the veil on vibrational law, the hidden mechanics of consciousness, and why what you do in the first 5 minutes of your day either opens the gates of heaven or closes them. To understand the potency of this single morning act, the one that can raise your vibration instantly, we must first peel back the dense layers of distraction that have calcified over our inner world. Beneath every cup of coffee, every morning commute, every flicker of routine, there exists a subtle law. Your energy precedes your reality. Let that echo for a moment. Your energy precedes your reality, not the other way around. The material world is not the architect, it is the sculpture. It takes its shape from you, from your vibration, from the pulse of frequency that emanates from the inner chamber of your being. And every morning, whether you are aware of it or not, you begin carving that sculpture with invisible tools. This is why the first act of the day is so profound. It sets the tuning fork. The same way a master musician tests the note before touching a single key, your soul yearns to find its pitch before stepping into the symphony of experience. If you start off tuned to fear, to scarcity, to dread, you become a magnet for more of the same, not by punishment, but by alignment. The universe is not cruel, it is obedient. So what are we really talking about when we speak of raising your vibration? It's not about forced positivity or pretending things are fine when they're not. That is spiritual bypassing, and it leaves the soul hungry. Raising your vibration is about resonance. It is about aligning your internal frequency with that which is most true, most whole, most alive within you. At the core, vibration is consciousness in motion. It's the river of energy flowing through your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Low vibration is not just about sadness or fatigue. It is about disconnection. It is what happens when you forget who you are, when you mistake the mask for the face, the noise for the music. High vibration is the opposite. A return to coherence, clarity, presence. A return to the field from which all things arise. This is where we must confront one of the deepest illusions, the myth of separation. Modern life teaches us to think of ourselves as isolated entities, severed from source, from nature, from each other. But beneath this illusion, the truth pulses like a hidden sun. You are not a fragment in the universe. You are the universe, condensed into form. You are a field of vibrating potentiality, entangled with everything. This means your morning isn't just about you. It's about the frequency you ripple out into the field. It is your offering to the collective tone. And when you begin your day with intention, with reverence, with that one act of vibrational alignment, you don't just change your own state, you change the environment around you. People may not understand it, but they feel it. They sense the clarity in your eyes, the peace in your breath. You become a tuning fork for others. Now let us return to this one thing. If it's not a technique or trick, what is it? It is a conscious act of presence, done the very moment you wake up. Before the thoughts arrive, before you remember what needs to be done, before the world gets loud. That act could look different for each person. For some, it may be a spoken affirmation whispered into the dawn, "I am light." For others, a moment of stillness, eyes closed, hand on heart. For some, it may be breath, a slow inhale, a deliberate return to the body. The form doesn't matter as much as the state of being it invokes. The core of it is this: you pause and choose to remember the truth before the world reminds you of its illusions. This simple choice interrupts the unconscious momentum that most people live by. It cuts the energetic tether to fear, doubt, and habitual self-neglect. And by doing so, you create a new gravitational center. You rise, not through force, but through remembrance, like a balloon that was always meant to float, now finally released from the weight. Why does this work so instantly? Because the universe responds not to what you want, but to what you are. And when you begin your day by being light rather than chasing it, reality bends to mirror that. This is why mystics and sages throughout history have always emphasized the first breath, the first thought, the first word of the day. They understood something we have forgotten, that how you begin is not just a matter of routine, but a spiritual broadcast. Every spiritual tradition has its own version of this sacred pause: the Hebrew morning blessing, the yogic greeting of the sun, the Sufi breath, the Christian prayer upon waking. Different paths, same truth. Morning is the womb of reality. What you plant in it grows rapidly, because the soil is still soft. And yet, we are trained to ignore it, to rush past it, to fill it with noise. The irony is that the more advanced our world becomes, the more we drift from the elemental wisdom of how we start our day. But energy has no interest in convenience. It responds to truth. It responds to coherence. And if you can begin your day by anchoring into even one moment of that, truly anchoring, not just performing, you shift timelines. You no longer start your day as a passive passenger. You become the conductor of vibration, the lighthouse in fog, the stillness that transforms chaos into clarity. And from there, life meets you differently. Not because it has changed, but because you have. Now that we've explored the energetic blueprint and foundational truths behind this practice, we must venture deeper still. It is time to tell the stories behind the symbols, to unveil the metaphors and cosmic parables that echo this wisdom across cultures and timelines. For it is one thing to know a truth intellectually, and another to see it unfold like a myth written into the stars. The soul understands symbols better than it understands facts. While the mind seeks logic and detail, the spirit drinks from the deep well of myth, metaphor, and archetype. So if we are to truly feel the power of this morning ritual, not just as a concept but as a living pulse, we must journey into the symbolic landscapes that have always whispered its truth. Let us begin with the sunrise. In nearly every ancient culture, the rising sun was seen not just as a celestial event, but as an act of cosmic resurrection. To the Egyptians, Ra, the sun god, sailed across the sky each day in a golden bark, defeating the forces of chaos and darkness before rising again. To the Hindus, Surya rides his chariot pulled by 7 horses, bringing life, rhythm, and radiance to the waking world. In both narratives, the dawn is not just light, it is rebirth. It is the sacred reminder that no matter what came before, this moment is new. This moment is untouched. The soul, like the sun, descends into the darkness of sleep, only to return again through the east gate of the body, the breath, the heartbeat, the opening of the eyes. And here, in that return, you are offered a divine opportunity to re-enter your life not as a servant to yesterday's burdens, but as a conscious participant in the unfolding miracle of now. The act, the one thing that raises your vibration, is echoed in these ancient myths. It is the moment of inner sunrise. Not just watching the light, but becoming it. Now picture this, a vast, still lake in the early morning, shrouded in mist. No ripples, no movement, just reflection. This lake is your consciousness upon waking, and like the softest breeze, your first thought stirs the surface. It defines what will reflect back at you all day long. If that first thought is panic, fear, or disconnection, the ripples distort the mirror. But if that first breath is intentional, sacred, if your hand touches your heart and you whisper a truth like, "I am here, I am whole, I am light," then the mirror stays calm. It reflects your soul back to you, unbroken. In Zen tradition, there is a saying, "The way a person does one thing is the way they do everything." This applies with ferocity to the morning. The vibration you claim in that first sacred act becomes the resonance that colors your actions, your tone, your choices. One small act of presence is not small, it is seismic, because presence is truth, and truth, when remembered, rearranges reality. Let us now walk briefly with another symbol, the tuning fork. When one tuning fork vibrates, it causes nearby forks to begin resonating at the same frequency. This is called entrainment, and it is not limited to physics. Your energy, too, entrains the world around you. If you begin your day in harmony, you become a source point for coherence. Others feel it. Events begin to unfold with grace, not because life is being manipulated, but because your own inner distortion has dissolved, allowing the world to meet you cleanly. The morning act, the breath, the touch, the stillness, the affirmation, is you striking your own tuning fork. You are declaring to the universe, "This is my note today. This is my frequency." And the field responds not with resistance, but resonance. Now picture the ancient temple of Delphi, where above the doorway was inscribed, "Know thyself." This wasn't merely philosophical advice, it was vibrational instruction. Because to know thyself is to step out of the echo chamber of the world's frequencies and reclaim your own tone. And what better moment to practice this than the first? The moment before identity calcifies, before narrative resumes, before the gears of doing override the stillness of being. And so, the one thing you do each morning, whatever form it takes, is your oracle, your sacred alignment, your re-entry into the living myth of your life. You become, in that moment, not just someone who wakes up. You become a guardian of frequency, a lighthouse rising from the ocean mist. Even nature does not rush in the morning. The flowers open gradually. The birds sing not to warn, but to greet. The light creeps in through branches like a whisper, not a scream. Everything that is truly alive knows how to begin the day in alignment, not urgency. And you, as a fragment of the divine, are being invited to remember this. Consider this final story. A man wakes up each day and immediately checks his phone. He absorbs the world's fear, its speed, its chaos. By the time he stands, he has already forgotten himself. He moves through the day as a ghost. Things happen to him. He reacts. He forgets the space between breath and thought, and his vibration sinks into a low, consistent hum of unconsciousness. Now contrast him with another. She wakes and places her hand on her heart. She breathes deeply. She says nothing, but feels everything. In that moment, she chooses light. She remembers herself before the world can define her. Her eyes open not in reaction, but in reverence. And the world, in turn, mirrors this to her. Doors open, insights arrive. People feel safe in her presence. She is not controlling reality. She is simply resonating with a higher one. This is not fantasy. It is energetic law. And so, the story you step into each day is chosen in the first scene. The curtain rises, and the actor must decide, will you play a role written by fear, or will you write your own script from the heart of divine presence? In the next section, we will move from myth to embodiment. We will explore how to weave this vibrational awareness into the structure of your daily life, how to transform fleeting moments of clarity into lasting architecture for the soul. There is a truth that many seekers overlook. The mystical is not meant to remain in the clouds. It is meant to land, to walk barefoot through the dust of your routine, to enter your kitchen, your commute, your cluttered inbox. Spiritual truths may be born in the stars, but they come alive in the rhythm of ordinary mornings. This is where the dance between energy and matter unfolds, not in isolation, but in integration. The one thing you do each morning to raise your vibration is not merely a sacred ritual, it is a seed. But what matters as much as the seed is the soil you plant it in. And that soil is your life, your real, raw, unfiltered life. Let us begin here, in the body. The body is the first altar. Before your mind can even process a thought, your nervous system has already begun tuning to your surroundings. This is why the very first breath matters so much. A shallow, unconscious inhale sends a signal of tension. It confirms survival mode. But a slow, deliberate breath, taken with awareness, tells the body, we are safe. And from that space of safety, higher energy states like gratitude, clarity, and joy become accessible. So imagine this. You wake, not with a jolt, but with a pause. You let the light find your skin. You notice your heartbeat like a drum beneath the earth. And then, before touching your phone, before inviting the world back into your space, you engage in your one sacred act. It might be placing your hand on your chest and affirming, "Today I rise in peace," or sitting up in bed, spine tall, and repeating a mantra, or simply looking out the window and remembering that you are alive and that this matters. That is not wasted time. That is spiritual architecture. And like architecture, the integrity of your entire day is shaped by the foundation. If you begin the day anchored in presence, you're less likely to be hijacked by external chaos. The tension in traffic won't pull you under. The difficult coworker won't shake your core. Even moments of frustration will pass more swiftly because your center was chosen, not inherited. This morning act becomes a vibrational compass, not one that guarantees perfection, but one that guarantees direction. It reminds you, through sensation rather than concept, what it feels like to be in alignment. And so when you drift, as you inevitably will, you have something to return to. You have a home frequency. But let's move deeper. When you practice this act consistently, something mysterious begins to happen. Your outer world starts rearranging. Not through magical thinking, but through energetic coherence. People respond to your energy without knowing why. Opportunities begin to reflect your elevated state. You make decisions from clarity instead of fear, and these decisions ripple forward, shaping new timelines. Even the timing of events shifts. Synchronicities increase, not as rewards, but as confirmations that you are vibrating in harmony with the greater field. And this doesn't just affect you, it's contagious. Consider this. A parent begins their day with presence instead of panic. They choose calm over chaos in the first 5 minutes. Their vibration rises, and so when they interact with their children, their tone is different. Their nervous system is calmer. Their words carry warmth. The children, sensing this, feel safer, more grounded. They go to school more relaxed. They treat others better, and the ripple continues. Or picture a manager who begins their day not with emails but with stillness. They enter the workplace not with scattered urgency but with quiet focus. Their team feels it. Productivity flows. Tension lowers. Again, the ripple moves outward. This is how raising your vibration in the morning becomes a form of invisible leadership. You are not preaching, you are not performing, you are transmitting, and people feel it. Now, of course, life will test you. You may wake late, you may forget, you may feel heavy or disoriented. This too is sacred, because the act is not about perfection, it is about intention. Even when you fail, the desire to begin again is its own form of alignment. The ritual is not a cage, it is a doorway. And every day you are invited, never forced, to walk through it. You may find that over time, the one thing begins to evolve. What began as a breath may become a journal entry. What started as a prayer may become a silent walk at dawn. Follow it. Let your vibration lead. The point is not what you do. The point is who you become while doing it. Eventually, this one sacred moment may bleed into the rest of your day. You may start pausing before conversations, breathing before decisions, catching your thoughts before they spiral. You will notice that your external world has become more peaceful, but only because your inner world has become more intentional. This is the miracle. By tuning into your frequency each morning, you start composing the melody of your life with conscious hands. And yes, there will be resistance. Your ego will whisper, "This won't change anything." The world will seduce you back into speed, but the soul never shouts. It waits, patiently, lovingly, until you return again to the breath, the truth, the stillness. And when you do, even if only for a few seconds, the vibration begins to rise, not because you earned it, but because you remembered it was always yours. And so the act of raising your vibration each morning is not a technique. It is a practice of self-remembrance. You are not adding anything to yourself. You are removing the static. You are clearing the fog. You are letting the light back in. And over time, that light becomes your baseline. From this place, real transformation begins. Not in theory, but in blood, breath, and choice. In the way you wake, in the way you speak, in the way you meet life, not as a victim of frequency, but as its conductor. And now, having grounded these ideas into the rhythms of your lived experience, we approach the final stretch, the summit of this journey. It is time to gather all these threads, myth, science, intention, energy, and weave them into a final vision, a final offering. There comes a moment in every seeker's path where the question is no longer what must I know, but who must I become? This moment doesn't arrive in thunder or fireworks. It arrives in stillness, often disguised as a whisper, a quiet echo in the soul that says, "Now is the time. Now is the time to stop collecting truths like trinkets. Now is the time to stop waiting for the next sign, the next cosmic validation. Now is the time to become the vibration you've been searching for." And so we return, at last, to the beginning, not as a circle, but as a spiral. Elevated, awakened, reshaped. We are no longer merely discussing a morning act. We are recognizing a sacred appointment with ourselves. One that has always been available, one that is waiting again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. The one thing you do every morning to raise your vibration is not meant to be dramatic. It is not meant to impress. It is meant to align, to bring your soul back into conscious contact with your day before the day decides who you are. It is the still point from which the entire wheel of reality turns. This act, this breath, this intention, this pause, is an invitation back to sovereignty. It reclaims the authorship of your inner world. Because let's face it, we live in a frequency war. Every notification, every headline, every social feed is a pull, a vibration asking you to forget, asking you to react, asking you to shrink. But when you wake with presence, with devotion, with alignment, you become the resistance to that forgetting. You become the rebel who refuses to start the day in fear. You become the soul who remembers, I am not here to survive this world. I am here to raise it. And this is not a lofty metaphor. This is the geometry of energetic truth. As you raise your vibration, your electromagnetic field expands. Your brain shifts into coherence. Your heart emits a measurable frequency of harmony. You become a living broadcast of possibility. Others will feel it. Some may be inspired. Others may resist. But make no mistake, your choice to start each day in alignment does not go unnoticed by the universe. It is recorded, echoed, multiplied. And perhaps the most beautiful part of all is this: the world does not need you to be perfect. It does not need you to be endlessly positive or spiritually flawless. It simply needs you to be conscious, to wake up, not just from sleep, but from unconsciousness. To say with breath and presence, today, I return to my truth. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of your environment. You are not a victim of the vibration you woke up with yesterday. Every morning is a new creation, a new agreement, a new covenant with reality, and all it takes is one sacred act to reclaim that power, one breath of intention, one moment of stillness, one sentence of truth whispered into the silence. I begin this day in light, and I carry it with me. Do this not once, but again and again. Let it become your ritual, your reset, your quiet revolution. And as days become weeks and weeks become months, you will not need to wonder if your vibration is rising. You will feel it. You will live it. You will become it. And the world, reflecting that change, will whisper back to you, yes, this is what we've been waiting for.